When a crystal breaks, it can affect the way that it outputs energy, but this doesn't necessarily mean that it's not good anymore. So if you have something like a laser wand and the top breaks off, or you get a crack or a big chip in the termination, this is something that you're using to direct and focus energy. So that would disrupt the way that you're intending that energy to move. If you have something, however, like a small tumbled stone and it gets a little chip in it, tumbled stones usually radiate energy evenly outward in all directions. So a chip or a little crack in a tumbled stone isn't going to affect the energy because it's still being sent out in all directions. That little chip isn't as big of a deal as it would be in something like the termination of your laser wand, where you really need to focus that energy precisely. So in something like a pyramid, you're looking for that sacred geometry, right? You have that nice steep incline up toward the apex or top of the pyramid. So if the top of that pyramid has been chipped, then if you're using it to send energy or focus energy or draw energy in through that apex, then a chip in that apex is going to make a difference in the energy that it gives off or that it receives. However, if you're just using that amethyst pyramid as sort of a centerpiece to send energy in all directions, say to fill up your environment, your space, then that chip becomes much less important because your intention is just for that energy to emanate outward. So really, that's sort of where I draw the line personally. Other people would disagree. If you're one of those people that you really want your crystals to be perfect and pristine with no fractures or chips or problems, then you want to make sure that those are the types of crystals you're using. Because if that chip or flaw takes away or distracts from your intention for using that crystal, that's where you're going to have a problem, because it's all about intention with crystal healing, just like with all other types of energy medicine. So with a pendulum, if you have a chip in your pendulum, you can still use it because you're using it to read energy. And really what you're allowing that pendulum to do is to act as an energetic conduit. So basically what's happening when you use divinatory tools like a pendulum is you are asking a yes or no question typically, or you're asking to just sense energy, maybe of someone's chakras or energy field, or the particular energy of an object or something like that. So as long as you are holding the intention to gain your answer about using your pendulum, if it does have a small chip, a lot of times that's not going to influence the way that the pendulum works. But again, if you're a purist and you really don't want any chips or fractures or anything like that, and that draws your attention away, because to have intention, we need to have attention. So if our attention is drawn away from our intention by that chip or that fracture, then we need to maybe get a new divinatory tool, another pendulum for dowsing or something like that. But otherwise, it's just really acting as a way to show you in a physical, moving, sensory way what your higher self already knows. And that's what a lot of people think. So it's just a way to actually see and get some concrete answers about what your higher self already knows. So yeah, if it has a little bit of chip, I can easily say that as long as that doesn't bother you, it's not distracting you, it's still fine to use energetically for energy purposes.